Good day, everyone. My name is Jane Herlo A. Bataled. I am a BS Ed 1 student, major in English. So today I'll have my short discussion about global historical foundations of education. So let's start. The beliefs and experiences of education today rest on the history of this field of endeavor by knowing what accomplishments of leaders in the past. Today's educators attempt to build on their achievements. The education that we are experiencing right now is a product of the past way of educating our children. The beliefs and experiences of education today are actually a product of how our parents and our grandparents of our parents were educated in the past, meaning that the happening in the past are actually have an impact to the happening at present. So how did education evolve? This will be related to primitive era, Egyptian, Greek, and last is Roman. So first, the primitive education. It's on the way of life. Among primitive or tribal people was very simple compared with the complex that people have today. Their means of livelihood were hunting and gathering wild fruits and vegetables. There was no reading, writing, and information was transmitted through the word of mouth, songs, gestures, ceremonial rites, and the like. The education was informal and structured, and it happens around the different areas where the person is engaged into conversation or to communication or to the different ways of life. Their educational goals are to teach group survival skills, what I've said, and to cultivate group cohesiveness. And their curriculum is practical skills of hunting, fishing, food gathering, stories, myths, songs, poems, and for the second one is the Egyptian education. Egypt, the gift of the Nile, is situated in the northern part of the African continent. Ancient Egypt was a desert country watered only by the Nile River, which flooded the country from August to October, leaving behind a very rich black earth. The government of Egypt was autocratic, ruled by a king called Pharaoh, who had absolute power. They are into obedience and your loyalty to their king, who had an absolute power. What's the outstanding contribution of the Egyptian education to our education today? It's on the geometrical measurement and surveying. It's a number, thus the surveying geometrical measurement knowledge are actually from the Egyptian educational practices. And the third one is Greek education. The Greeks are mixture of the Aryan and Germanic people, two great races, but because of the presence of natural barriers such as mountains and bodies of water, they live in tribal isolation and develop differences. They considered it is an honor to serve their country in any capacity. There were many Greek city-state, but Two of them rose above all others. These were Sparta and Athens. Sparta was in the south of Corinth, in the southern section of the Peloponnesian Peninsula. Spartan education was based upon the laws of Lycurgus. It was the basis of Spartan political, social, and educational system. This turned Sparta into a totalitarian soldier state. This system lasted for 700 years from the 9th to the 2nd century before Christ, especially during the 5th century. They are into military training and they are into defense of their own state, meaning they are very loyal to their own country. And for the Athenian education, ancient Athens was the leading cultural center of the Greek world. Many of the most gifted writers of Greece live there. They wrote works of drama, history, lyric poetry, and philosophy that have influenced literature up to the present time. In many ways, the city was a birthplace of Western civilization. Education was supervised by the state. Although education was not compulsory, it was not clear, however, if the state maintained public school. The Athenians' education's contribution is on the literature and drama and history and also philosophy. How about the later Athenian education? Athens became an empire in 479 before Christ when Greeks defeated the Persians at the Battle of Plataea. Athens, the head of the Delian Confederation, contributed largely to the victory. The triumph brought about attitudinal changes toward education among Athenians. The outstanding contributions are: the first is the Socratic method of teaching as far as the method is concerned, and the second one is another is in the realm of philosophy. The greatest world philosophers came from Greece, among whom were Socrates, Plato, Aristotle, and others. And the third one, another is in the field of mathematics. Euclidean geometry has been studied for 2,000 years up to the present. And the fourth one is the arts and classical literature are also great contributions. The educational goals of Greek is to cultivate civic responsibility and identity with city-state, and also for the Athenian to develop well-rounded person, and for the Spartan to develop soldiers and military leaders. And for their curriculum, Athenians reading, writing, arithmetic, drama, music, poetry, physical education, and literature. As what I said kanina. For the Spartan, drill, military, songs, and tactics. Influences on Western education. For Athens is the concept of the well-rounded, liberally educated person, and for the Sparta, the concept of the military state. And for the agents, for Athens is the private teachers and schools, sophists, and philosophers. For the Sparta, military teachers and drill sergeants. And that's all for the Greek education. And for the last one, which is the Roman education, Italian peninsula was occupied by Italians, Etruscans, and Greeks who settled in Sicily and the south. The Italian tribes were the Sabellians, the Ambrians, and the Latins. Out of the mixtures of these peoples emerged the strong, energetic Romans. These peoples also developed city-states, and the Latium, the city-states of Rome, become the most powerful. The Roman judged things by their usefulness. You should have your utility. You have to take your rule, and that is the contribution of Roman education. Go to the education goals of Roman education. Their education goals are to develop sense of civic responsibility for public and then empire, and also to develop administrative and military skills. And for their curriculum is reading, writing, arithmetic, laws of 12 tribes law, and also the philosophy. And during the medieval period, schools were concerned with the development of religious commitment, knowledge, and the ritual to establish order. Renaissance period was a fervent period of European culture, artistic and political and economic rebirth following the Middle Ages. Education was focused on the rediscovery of classical philosophy, literature, and art. And also, for the last is the Reformation period, had as for its educational goals the cultivation of a sense of commitment to particular religious denominations and general literacy. And that's the end of my report. So that's what about my short discussion for the topic, and I hope you learn what I've discussed. So thank you for listening, and bye bye.